Welcome to the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu.
Oh, great to be here.
Today we're diving deep into team topologies.
Yeah.
It's all about figuring out how to build those really effective teams,
Right.
particularly,
Yeah.
in the world of tech and software.
Yeah.
So we're talking about organizing for speed and stability.
Yeah.
Basically, how to make things work better and faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anil Nathu, this 1 Hour Guide, he's done a phenomenal job
Yes.
of summarizing, I think, all the
He really is, yeah.
important points from Matthew Skelton
Yeah.
and Conway Maneuver's book.
Yeah, absolutely. This deep dive is going to be awesome.
It's like they took all the
Yeah.
really complicated stuff
Nice
about
summary.
software and teams, and they
Okay.
distilled it down into this potent little guide.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think anyone who's ever felt frustrated, with slow processes,
Yeah.
or like you're stuck in this
Especially in tech.
bureaucracy,
Yeah.
is going to find this
Yeah.
super valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the biggest takeaways from the guide is
Yeah.
the idea that the old ways of organizing teams, they're just
Yeah.
not cutting it anymore.
Yeah.
We need new structures, new approaches
Right.
to handle the speed at which software development moves.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to drive a race car with
Yeah.
a lawnmower engine.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work.
You're not going anywhere fast.
So how does team topologies actually solve this problem?
Well, one of the, I think, really core ideas is defining these 4 fundamental types of teams.
Okay.
Each of these team types has a specific purpose.
Oh.
Think of them as specialized units in an army,
Okay.
each optimized for a different kind of mission.
I'm intrigued. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Break it down. What are these super teams?
Okay, so first you
Yeah.
have the stream-aligned team.
Okay.
This team is like a mini startup
Uh-huh.
within a larger organization. They own a complete flow of work
Okay.
from beginning to end.
Got it.
Imagine a team that handles everything
Mm-hmm.
for a specific product feature,
Okay.
from the design to the development
Yeah.
to the deployment.
Okay.
That's a stream-aligned team in action.
That sounds very much like
It does, doesn't it?
what I've heard about Spotify's squads.
Exactly.
Is that basically what we're talking about?
That's a great example of a
Okay.
company using stream-aligned teams successfully.
Cool.
And the guide, the 1 Hour Guide, goes into detail about
Yeah.
how that approach
Mm-hmm.
gives teams more autonomy and speed.
Right, because they're focused on that one thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they can just
And they can run with it.
run with it. Yeah. Okay, so we have these super focused, stream-aligned teams.
Yeah.
What about when those teams need help?
Mm.
Because not every team can be an expert at everything.
Of course not. No.
Yeah.
That's where enabling teams come in.
Think of them as specialists.
Okay.
They provide support to those stream-aligned teams.
That's our
Let's say, for example,
Yeah.
a stream-aligned team runs into a tricky security issue.
Okay.
An enabling team with deep security expertise
Mm-hmm.
can come in, solve the problem.
Like a SWAT team.
Exactly, like a SWAT team for technical problems.
I love it. Okay.
And then they move on to the next challenge.
Okay. So they're not permanently embedded.
Yeah.
They come in, solve the problem, and then they're out.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes
Yeah.
that these enabling teams, they should focus on removing obstacles
Right.
for the stream-aligned teams.
Yeah.
So those teams can maintain their flow.
Right. So they can keep that speed up.
Exactly. Keep the speed up.
Makes total sense.
Uh,
But what about the really complicated,
mm,
hair-pulling parts of a system?
yeah.
Surely not every team can handle that kind of complexity.
Right. Right. And that's where complicated subsystem teams shine.
Complicated subsystem teams. Okay.
Yeah. These are the folks who are deeply knowledgeable.
They're the gurus.
They're the gurus
Fine.
about a very specific, complex part of the system.
Okay.
So everyone else can rely on their expertise.
Yeah.
It frees up the other teams to focus on their own areas of
Okay.
responsibility.
So we got the teams that own the workflow.
Yeah.
We got the teams that help them overcome obstacles.
Right.
We got these complicated subsystem teams, the gurus.
Mm-hmm.
What's number 4?
Okay, so number 4 is the platform team.
Oh, right. Platform team.
These are the unsung heroes.
Okay.
They build and maintain
Mm-hmm.
the internal tools and services that everyone else relies on.
Right.
Think of them as creating the foundation
Yeah.
for success.
That's huge EE. I mean, if those internal tools are clunky
Oh, absolutely.
or inefficient,
Yeah.
it's going to slow everybody down.
Yeah, it can be a major bottleneck.
It's like building a house on sand.
Exactly.
Heck,
Exactly. And the guide really emphasizes, Yeah. Treating these internal platforms like products.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They need to be well-designed, reliable, and easy to use.
So it's not just like, oh, we'll throw together whatever. It's like, no, this is
It needs to be
a well thought out
piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
Okay, so we have these 4 team types.
Yeah.
All specialized and optimized for their specific roles.
Yeah.
But how do they actually work together? Doesn't that sound like
great question.
A recipe for chaos?
Right. And the 1 hour guide goes into detail about how they should interact.
Oh, okay.
It's not just a free-for-all.
Okay.
They introduce 3 clear interaction modes.
Okay, I like that. I like where this is going. Tell me about these interaction modes.
Okay, so the first one is collaboration.
Okay.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's when 2 or more teams need to work really closely together on a shared goal.
So, they have a common purpose. Exactly. Think of it like a temporary task force tackling a specific problem.
Like when you need lots of different expertise to solve something really hard.
Exactly. Collaboration is all about bringing the right people together, regardless of their team affiliation, to get the job done.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So, collaboration, what about?
Okay, so the second interaction mode is X's service.
X's service. Sounds a little techie.
I know, right? But it's actually a pretty simple concept.
Okay.
One team provides a service to another, often through, an API.
Got it.
Think of it like ordering takeout for your team.
Yeah.
You don't need to know how to cook the food.
I like that. I like that analogy a lot.
Right. You just need to know how to order it.
So instead of reinventing the wheel every time,
exactly,
you just tap into somebody else's expertise.
Exactly.
Streamlines things, gets rid of that duplication.
Streamlines things, avoids unnecessary duplication.
I love it. Okay, so collaboration, Xers as service.
Yeah.
What's the third interaction mode?
Okay, the third mode is facilitation.
Facilitation, okay.
This is where one team helps another team improve their skills or knowledge.
Okay.
Think of it like mentorship or training.
So a streamlined team needs to learn a new technology.
Exactly.
An enabling team could come in and give them some guidance.
Exactly.
Got it.
Facilitation is all about helping teams learn and grow.
Okay, so we have these 4 team types.
Yes.
We have the 3 ways that they can interact. It's starting to feel like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about this whole concept of cognitive load that keeps popping up. What's the big deal with that?
Well, the authors of Team Topologies and, of course, Anil Nathu in his guide, they argue that one of the biggest enemies of effective teamwork is cognitive overload. Basically, when our brains are trying to juggle too much information.
Oh, I think we've all been there.
I think we all have.
When your to-do list is a mile long.
Exactly. It's like that feeling when your inbox is overflowing.
Yeah.
You just feel completely overwhelmed.
Totally. And when you're in that state, you can't do your best work.
Exactly. You can't work at your best.
You make more mistakes.
You're less creative.
Right.
You're more likely to burn out.
So is Team Topologies about, minimizing that overload?
It's about minimizing that cognitive overload.
It's like a mental declutter.
That's a great way to put it.
For teams.
Yeah. The guide breaks down cognitive load into 3 types.
Okay.
Intrinsic, extraneous, and germane.
Okay. I'm all ears. Tell me about these different types.
Okay. So intrinsic load is the mental effort that's inherent to the task itself.
Okay.
Think of a surgeon focusing intensely during an operation. Okay.
That level of focus is intrinsic to the task.
Right.
And can't be eliminated.
So some level of cognitive load is unavoidable.
Yeah.
You need that to do certain things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about the other types?
Okay, so extraneous load.
Extraneous.
Extraneous load is the bad kind of cognitive load.
Okay.
It's all the stuff that distracts us from the core work, unnecessary meetings, clunky tools, unclear instructions. It's all that stuff.
And Team Topologies is all about minimizing that extraneous load.
Right.
So we can free up mental space for the important things.
Got it. So intrinsic is unavoidable. Extraneous is the enemy.
Yes.
And then remind me, what was the third one again?
Okay, the third one is germane load.
Germane load.
And this is the mental effort required to learn and grow.
Okay.
Which is actually a good thing.
Okay.
It's like the mental strain you experience when you're mastering a new skill or grappling with a new concept.
So it's challenging. But it's the kind of challenge that leads to growth.
Exactly. It's challenging, but it's good.
Okay. But even that kind of load needs to be managed.
Absolutely.
Right.
You need to find the right balance.
Yeah.
Too much germane load.
Yeah.
And you risk overwhelming people.
Right.
Too little, and you stifle growth.
Okay.
So, yeah, team topology is about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where you minimize the bad kind of load and optimize the good kind.
So it's all about creating the right environment where people can thrive.
Yeah.
Without feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have this framework. We got these team types.
Right.
We have these ways they interact.
Yes.
And we have this focus on cognitive load.
Yes.
It's starting to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
How do you actually use this to change how teams work in the real world?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, hit me with it.
The authors introduce a concept called the inverse Conway Maneuver.
Inverse Conway Maneuver.
It might sound intimidating.
It does sound a little intimidating.
But it's actually a pretty brilliant idea.
Okay, color me intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me about this inverse Conway Maneuver.
Okay. So, it builds upon Conway's law.
Conway's law, okay.
Which states that organizations tend to design systems that mirror their communication structures.
Right.
So if your teams are poorly structured and communication is messy, you're likely to end up with a messy, poorly designed system.
Right. It's like having a bunch of cooks in a kitchen with no recipe.
Exactly.
And no one's really in charge.
Yeah.
It's going to be a disaster.
You're going to end up with a culinary disaster.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the inverse Conway maneuver flips the script.
Okay.
Instead of letting your existing team structure dictate the system design, you start by envisioning the ideal system you want.
Okay.
Then you build your teams to match that desired architecture.
So you're saying design the system first.
Design the system first.
Then build the teams around it.
Yes. Structure follows function.
Mind.
Blows.
It's like working backwards from the desired outcome.
Right. Okay. So, like, if you want to build a rocket ship.
Exactly.
Don't start by just throwing a bunch of engineers in a room.
Right.
You start with the design of the rocket ship.
You design the rocket ship.
And then you figure out the team structure.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the 1 hour guide really emphasizes how this inverse Conway maneuver can lead to more streamlined, efficient, and ultimately more successful teams.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract theory.
No.
This is a practical guide to building better teams and better systems.
Absolutely.
And the 1 hour guide, it's packed with real-world examples, right?
It is.
Like companies that have used these to get amazing results.
Yes. He talks about how Spotify's squads are basically streamlined teams in action.
And even a giant bank like ING use these ideas to become more agile.
So this can work in any kind of organization.
Yes, it can.
Not just, small tech startups or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, I need to hear more about these examples.
We will.
I'm guessing there are some other really cool case studies.
Absolutely.
And we'll dive into those in the next part.
I'm ready.
Of our deep dive.
Okay, so more real-world examples from the 1 hour guide by Anil Nathu.
Yes.
I'm ready to be inspired.
Right.
What other companies have made this work?
Well, besides Spotify and ING, Nathu highlights Fastly, a company that provides content delivery network services.
Okay.
They took a platform-first approach.
Platform first. Okay.
Meaning they treated their internal tools and services with the same care and attention as they would a product they were selling to customers.
That's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
I never really thought about internal tools in that way. It makes a big difference.
Why is that so important?
Because if you have clunky, poorly designed internal tools, it creates so much cognitive overload for the developers who have to use them.
Yeah, it's like one more thing to think about.
It's one more hurdle. By treating these tools like products, Fastly created a more streamlined, efficient workflow for their teams, which enabled them to scale massively while maintaining high quality.
So it's not just about making things, look pretty.
It's about reducing cognitive load.
Yeah.
Empowering developers to do their best work.
It's got to be functional.
It's got to be functional. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And it ties back to that idea of minimizing extraneous cognitive load.
Right.
That we were talking about.
Okay, so we have Spotify using streamlined teams. We have ing
Yes.
becoming more agile and fastly focusing on those internal platforms.
Exactly.
Any other standout examples from the guy?
Their discussion of fast flow and team dynamics would be complete without mentioning Netflix.
Of course, Netflix.
The king of
DevOps pioneers.
Absolutely. They've also embraced the principles of team topologies.
No surprise there.
Not surprising at all.
Netflix is known for being,
yes,
so innovative and fast-paced.
Fast-paced, yeah.
How are they using team topologies?
Well, they created a culture of highly autonomous teams with strong internal platforms.
So it's not just about the technology, right?
Yeah.
It's about empowering
people. Giving them the freedom to innovate.
Got it.
And the guide also mentions Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
With their famous 2 pizza teams.
2 pizza teams, right?
A team should be small enough
to be fed with 2 pizzas.
What's the thinking there?
Well, it's all about minimizing communication overhead and maximizing agility.
So smaller teams.
Smaller teams.
Just work better.
They can communicate more efficiently,
okay,
make decisions faster, and move quicker.
Got it.
It's another way to reduce extraneous cognitive load.
Yeah.
It's like, and streamline things.
Cutting out all the noise, all the extra stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. So these companies, Spotify, ING, Fastly, Netflix, Amazon, they've all had success with team topologies.
They have. And it's about aligning teams with the flow of value.
Okay.
Minimizing cognitive load and creating those clear interaction modes.
So this isn't just for software, right?
No, not at all.
It could be NNEY kind of work.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
But principles are universal.
Okay, so we've got the theory, the team types, the interaction modes, the examples.
Yes.
What are the specific benefits
that
companies can expect?
Well, the 1-hour guide highlights several key benefits.
Okay, give it to me.
Faster delivery times.
Okay.
Improved system quality.
Got it.
Reduced risk and increased innovation.
All right, let's break those down.
Okay.
How do we get faster delivery times with team topologies?
Well, when you have teams that are aligned with the flow of value and empowered to make decisions quickly, you're going to see acceleration in your development cycles.
Got it.
You eliminate bottlenecks, reduce handoffs, streamline communication.
So it's not just about working faster. It's about working smarter.
It's about working smarter.
Exactly.
It's about eliminating waste and inefficiency and focusing on what truly matters.
Delivering value.
That value
to the customer.
To the customer.
Yes.
Love it. Okay.
And improved system quality.
Yeah, how does it?
Remember the inverse Conway maneuver?
Yeah.
When you design your team structure to match the desired system architecture, you're inherently building in quality from the very beginning.
Interesting.
You're reducing the likelihood of creating a system that's fragmented or difficult to maintain.
Okay, so you're setting your team up for success from the outset.
Yes.
You're giving them that structure and the clarity they need to actually build something good.
To create something great.
Okay, and what about reduced risk?
Well,
how does that tie in?
When you have clear team boundaries and well-defined responsibilities, it's much easier to identify and mitigate potential risks.
Because you know who's doing what.
Exactly.
You're not stepping on each other's toes.
You avoid the chaos and confusion that can arise from overlapping roles or unclear lines of authority.
So it's a more stable foundation, which then leads to better stuff built on top.
Exactly.
Okay.
And speaking of innovation, that's another huge benefit of team topologies.
How so?
When you create a culture of autonomy and empowerment, you unlock that creative potential of your teams.
Because they're not worried about stepping on someone's toes or getting bogged down in bureaucracy.
They have the freedom to experiment, try new things, come up with innovative solutions.
They can take risks.
They can take risks.
Okay.
Which is where breakthroughs come from.
It's that psychological safety, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To actually think differently.
Exactly.
Okay, so it sounds like team topologies is more than just organizing teams.
It's a new way of working.
It's a whole new way of thinking about work.
It's about shifting the mindset from siloed thinking to collaborative problem solving.
It's like we're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
Instead of like you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine.
Exactly. It's about moving away from that traditional command and control model and embracing a more decentralized, agile approach.
And the benefits are clear, right?
The benefits are undeniable.
Okay, so we've talked about the benefits for organizations, but what about for like the individual people on the teams?
Right.
How does team topologies like...
Well, one of the most significant benefits is reduced cognitive load.
Right.
When teams are structured in a way that minimizes complexity and distractions, individual team members can focus more deeply on their core tasks.
They're not constantly being pulled in a million directions.
Exactly.
It's decluttering their mental workspace. So they can actually like focus on the good stuff.
Focus on the work that matters.
And it also leads
to a greater sense of ownership and autonomy.
Got it.
When team members have clear responsibilities and the freedom to make decisions, they feel more empowered and engaged.
It's not just I'm a cog in a machine. It's I'm actually contributing to something.
They're active participants in creating something valuable.
That sense of ownership can be so motivating, right?
Absolutely. It's about tapping into people's intrinsic motivation, their desire to contribute, make a difference.
And like when you do that,
you unlock a whole new level of performance.
So it sounds like team topologies is a win-win for everybody.
It is.
The organizations get the faster delivery, the better systems.
Yes.
The innovation. And the individuals get that reduced cognitive load, the autonomy. And the motivation. It's a recipe for success.
It really is.
And again, it's not just for software.
No.
This can apply to any kind of work.
It can apply to any kind of work.
It's really about aligning those teams, minimizing the overload.
Yes.
Creating those clear ways to interact.
Clear interaction modes.
Okay, so even if you're not in tech, if you're trying to like improve how your team works, team topologies.
It can provide valuable guidance.
Okay, so it's really a framework for better work.
That can help us navigate all the complexities of modern work and create more fulfilling, productive work experiences.
I think that's a great place to kind of pause for a second. We've covered a lot.
We have.
In this part of our deep dive into the 1 hour guide.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about real world examples, specific benefits.
I saw how companies like Spotify, ING, Fastly, Netflix, and Amazon have all used these principles to achieve some really impressive results.
And we talked about how team topologies can lead to faster delivery times, better systems, less risk, more innovation, and a better work experience.
For
the individual.
For everyone involved.
Okay.
In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore what all of this means for our listeners and how they can start applying these ideas to their own work.
Okay, so we've explored all these fascinating ideas from the 1 hour guide by Anil Nathu. About building better teams and systems. But now I'm wondering, where do we go from here?
That's the question.
How can our listeners, you know, take all this knowledge and actually put it into practice in their own organizations?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And there's no one-size-fits-all answer because every organization is different. But I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
Now that you understand these concepts, you can start to see the world through a new lens.
It's like we've given our listeners a new pair of glasses. They can see all these hidden structures and dynamics that they might not have noticed before.
All those things that were kind of invisible. Now they become visible.
Okay. So once you have that awareness, what do you do with it?
You experiment.
Okay.
You start making small changes.
Got it.
To the way your team is structured. The way you interact with other teams.
So it's not about like throwing everything out and starting over. It's incremental change.
Incremental change, Learn as you go.
Right. So it's that continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement, exactly.
And the 1 hour guide? This is just the beginning,
It's a starting point,
The jumping off point.
Absolutely. There's so much information out there on team topologies. The full book by Matthew Skelton and Conway Maneuver. If you're really interested in these ideas, dive deeper.
I love it. And even if you're not, like the person who gets to restructure teams, you can still apply this to your own work.
Yeah, to your individual work.
How you manage your own time and your own projects.
Right. Focus on minimizing your cognitive load.
Yeah.
Streamlining your workflow, improving communication with your colleagues.
So you can create those micro-topologies.
Yeah, exactly.
Within your own little world.
Exactly.
Okay, to all of our listeners out there, don't underestimate the power of these ideas.
Yeah. This isn't just
It's not just some trendy buzzword.
No, not at all.
This is a framework that can really transform how we work.
Absolutely. Make us more efficient, more innovative, more fulfilled.
More fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
It's about making work better.
It really is.
So take these concepts, experiment with them, and see what happens.
See what kind of magic you can create.
Right.
And remember, this journey of continuous improvement, it never ends.
Right. It's always evolving.
Always evolving. Always ways to get better.
Well said. Well, thank you for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Visit the 1 Hour Guide website for more business insights by Anil Nathu. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
And keep learning.